I'm going to try and attempt to explain a concept that you probably did not see in Java 1. Maybe you did, but I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't. And that is inner classes. And I'm doing this because we see them a lot in Android, and they're not all that complicated. There's a few things that might trip you up, but I just want you to be aware of them. And we're going to go ahead and use our previous segments example, our spaceship, for this example. So yeah, and I got to be honest with you, I tried to re-record this segment over and over again, and I kept getting tripped up in the way I was explaining it. So I'm going to give it one more shot here. Now you can have classes inside of classes in Java. We've got our spaceship class here. I'm going to go ahead and create two classes here. Let's just say a spaceship has a fuel system. So let's create a fuel system class. And let's say spaceships have transmission systems. I'm making this up. So okay. Now, one of the uses for this is that you might want to organize your code in such a way. So we've got our spaceship, and let's say we've got a whole bunch of methods that you know, manage the fuel system. So if we want to organize our code, we can just put all those methods inside of the fuel system class. So we can use it to organize code. Now there's two types of inner classes that we're going to be concerned with. And one is just a regular inner class, like I've got right here, these two classes, and the other one is a static inner class. So let's just make the transmission. Let's make the fuel system static, and let's leave the transmission class as just a regular inner class. There's a big difference between these two. I'll show you the first one. Let's create another instance variable inside of our spaceship, and let's just call it current speed. So let's just make an int current speed equals 10. Now again, I should have mentioned this earlier, I'm not going to give you a comprehensive overview of inner classes. If you have problems, you'll have to let me know, and we'll do a little bit of further research in them. So anyways, here's my current speed instance variable for my spaceship. Now I've got my static fuel system class and my non-static transmission system class. Here's one difference between static and non-static inner classes. I'm just going to create a method in here in my fuel system class, void, let's call it check fuel, and I'm going to create a method inside my transmission system class, void check transmission. A static inner class cannot have access to the instance variables of the enclosing class. So if I try and do a system.out.println current speed, that's going to cause an error. And if I look at the error, it's going to say cannot make a static reference to the non-static field current speed. All right, but if I take this line of code right here, copy it, and paste it over to here, there's no problem with that. Now here's the difference between static and non-static inner classes. A non-static inner class can only exist within an instance of its enclosing class. So to put it in the terms of our example here, the transmission system class can only exist inside an instance of the spaceship class. and that makes sense. Then it makes sense that it can access the instance variables of the spaceship class, because you got to have a spaceship to have a transmission system. So if you know that's true, then the transmission system should be able to see the variables of the spaceship. Static classes can't do that. So why would you ever need a static class then, a static inner class? Well, in some ways you can think of it as a package. These inner classes can kind of be thought of as packages within other classes. So I'm going to erase this. I'm just going to comment this line of code out here. And I'm going to bounce back over to our application driver here. And this is code from a previous segment, so I'm just going to go ahead and erase it. I'm going to leave our one, right now okay, so we're just initializing a spaceship right here. Actually, for this example, we don't even need it, because I want to show you what you can do with static inner classes. So the fuel system is a static class. That means that I can actually create an instance of it without an instance of a spaceship. So I can go fuel system fs equals new, and I've got an error that I'm going to have to correct in a second here. Now the error here is that when you create an instance of a static inner class, you have to specify the enclosing class. So you do spaceship.fuelSystem equals new spaceship.fuelSystem. All right, now I can get a fuel system, and I don't need a spaceship to do it. I have to specify where the fuel system's coming from, because the fuel system is an inner class of the spaceship. I can't do this with the transmission system because it's not static. So if I go spaceship.transmission system equal ts equals new spaceship.transmission system, now there should be an error here. And if I look at the error, it says no enclosing instance of type spaceship is accessible. Must qualify the allocation with the enclosing instance of type spaceship. Now that message seems a little bit strange to me, but basically what it's saying is you can't create a transmission system, because the only way a transmission system can exist is through a spaceship. So if I wanted to be able to get at the transmission system, I would have to have a spaceship first. So what we commonly do, I'm just going to comment this line of code out here. What we commonly do is, so I've got my transmission system right here, and in my spaceship code, I'll make a variable that's of the data type transmission system. So I'll go transmission system ts equals new transmission system. Oops, I forgot my parentheses there. Okay, so I've got a transmission system here. Now back over in my app driver class, I can't do this line of code. I can't just create a transmission system without a spaceship, but what I can do is I'll create a spaceship first. So I'll go, oops, spaceship S1 equals new spaceship. And then I can get to the transmission. Now I have an instance of a spaceship, and because I created a spaceship, the spaceship has a transmission system in it. So then in that case I can go s1.ts, which is our member variable, and then I can, it's one of the check transmission, okay? Now, I don't mean to confuse you, and I think my explanation might have been confusing, but I just want you to be aware that you're going to see a lot of inner classes, both static and non-static, in Android development. Please let me know if you have questions about this. But basically, I want you to realize that it's basically a way for you to organize your code. So, and the difference between the two is that a static inner class can be created all by itself, but a non-static inner class can only exist within an instance of its enclosing class. All right, I'm going to stop talking before I make things even more confusing. Let me know if you have any problems.